Three straight right hands, Mike.
And it's 5 miles of jogging every morning.
Tremendous endurance by both boxers. Been the fight of the evening so far. 10 seconds to go here in round 3, the final round between these great fighters.
Ooh-wee is right, and this was a carbon copy of Tucson. I'll be anxious to know who won this fight.
Well, Tom Mustin has to be proud of Dwayne Jamison. He delivered that jab just about as well as anybody we've seen down here at the JOs in Lincoln, Nebraska. And the crowd responds. A tremendous fight here in the 139-pound weight class between Jaime Garcia and Dwayne Jamison.
And you can see they're just like thoroughbreds at the horse track. They're trying to wind down.
Now you know, 15 seconds, Mal, can seem like an eternity when you sweat out a referee's decision, and that's one of the most nervous moments a boxer can face. There's referee Marco Safarins collecting scorecards from the 5 judges. And for these junior Olympians, well, it's one of the most important moments of their young careers. We're awaiting the referee's decision for the winner of the 139-pound weight class. Dwayne Jamison, your winner.
And we'll have more boxing, more diving, and more track and field. Glover against Gorham when we come back to Lincoln, Nebraska. But now from the Junior Olympics, we pause for these messages from your local stations. 100, and before we got on the air today, I had the opportunity to go down and meet and talk with the youngster from Pensacola, New Jersey. She is 15 years old. There she is, her name, Michelle Glover. Michelle, when did you realize you could really run fast?
About 12 or 13 years old.
Did you get into a program or was somebody chasing you?
Well, my first meet, my neighbor took me to, and that's when I met Mrs. Lewis, coach.
When did you realize that you might be of not only national class, but perhaps in a year or two, world class?
Well, when I started winning and setting records and all.
You think you can get faster than what you are now?
Yeah, if I keep it up, practice all the time.
Well, who knows? Maybe 1980 in Moscow we'll see that cute grin and those flying heels.
Yeah, maybe so. I hope so.
Kathy Anderson.
Women's 220-yard dash. Here are the lane assignments. In lane 1, 15 years of age, Miami, Florida, Pam Rogers. Lane 2, Statesville, North Carolina, freshman, Delane Watts. Lane 3, the younger sister of Olympian Evelyn Ashford. This is Eunice Ashford. Lane 4, Jenny Gorham, obviously one of the favorites. Lane 5, Jocelyn Bentley, Topeka, Kansas, a 16-year-old sophomore. Could be a contender if either of the favorites fall by the wayside. Lane 6, Melinda Pitter, Brooklyn, New York, 17-year-old junior. Lane 7, Marbella Washington, a 16-year-old sophomore from Compton, California. And in lane 8, the 15-year-old freshman, Michelle Glover. So this afternoon in Lincoln, Nebraska, a duel in the sun between Jenny Gorham and Michelle Glover, the women's 220-yard dash. The National Junior Olympics meet record is 24.24 automatic timing set by Wanda Hooker of Memphis, Tennessee last year. We could this afternoon, Frank Shorter, see another National Junior Olympic meet record.
Yeah, I think it would be just a question of whether or not the wind is blowing hard enough coming down the straightaway to prevent them from setting a record. I think Jenny won't be too tired from the 440 because she trains to run all 3 races. As we said before, that's one of her strengths. She has an ability to run a lot of races consecutively on any given day. Now, Michelle Glover, she's had since yesterday to get ready for this and rest, but she also now realizes she's no longer an unknown. She's a favorite, and that puts a little bit different pressure on a person.
Jenny Gorham is in lane 4. Michelle Glover is in lane 8. The 15-year-old freshman. And we'll have a false start. It was on Jenny Gorham. So Jenny Gorham will be contemplating the false start. One more, and she would be out of the race. Shakes her head, comes back. An Olympic fact. First modern Olympic Games in 1896. The entire United States team consisted of 13 men. This weekend here in Lincoln, Nebraska at the Junior Olympics, 1,800 young men and women. Now we're back to the duel. Jenny Gorham in lane 4, Michelle Glover in lane 8. Yesterday, Glover, a junior Olympic record, the 100 yards. It is a fair start. Jenny Gorham closing on the stagger. Glover is holding her own. We will check as they come off of the turn. Eunice Ashford is challenging. As they come out of the turn, it is Michelle Glover. Here comes Jenny Gorham with her stick, and she will challenge. In lane 1, it is Pam Roberts. It'll be Michelle Glover. Michelle Glover, Jenny Gorham, and then Pam Rogers. Michelle Glover wins her second gold medal, and a congratulations from Jenny Gorham.
Well, I think we've seen two things here. One is that Michelle Glover really is a classy 100 and 220-yard runner, but you can't really slight Jenny Gorham at all, because in this age of specialization, she really is much better at the 440 than she is at the 100 or 220. Now, coming off the turn, Michelle Glover has a clear lead, and it's just simply a case of her having run. She's run the turn just too much better than Jenny has, and Jenny just won't be able to catch up. Michelle, if she can hold it, and she's shown she's very strong, you'd think that being only 15, she wouldn't have much strength, but she's a very strong runner. Look at her legs. Jenny just can't catch her. Michelle carrying her momentum right through to the finish.
Unofficial time, 23.8. If it stands up, it will be a new record. Here is the omnipresent Mike Adamley. Mike?
Jenny, come on in. Michelle, are you all right, dear? Come on up a second. I'll let you get your breath 1 second. Congratulations, great victory. You know, I want to ask you, the people in Lincoln and all over the place are making a big thing, come in here, Jenny, about the competition between you two. I talked to your coach, Evelyn, Michelle, and she was telling me that actually you're pretty good friends. Catch your breath.
Huh?
Are you guys good friends, you and Jen?
Yeah.
What about the spirit of competition here at the Junior Olympics, Jenny? It's a pretty neat kind of thing to see. Yeah. I've been impressed.
It's pretty something else. She did a good job.
Both of you guys did great jobs. Girls did great jobs.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Okay.
Okay, Jim, go ahead.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. She is exhausted, but she's won her second gold medal. They are the best of friends. Michelle Glover in your picture right there, along with Jenny Gorham. A great race. It's what we expected, and it's a fine day for both Gorham and Glover. One has won 2 gold medals, the other 1.
Same international diving meet, the Celebrity Challenge off-road race, and Diana Nyad's Cuba to Florida swim next Sunday.
Hot this afternoon in Lincoln, Nebraska. And if you don't think it is, look at this. This is the body of a marathon gold medalist.
This is the embarrassed body of a marathon gold medalist.
At least you're comfortable. I like the idea.
Right.
Tell me about Michelle Glover.
Well, she really, to me, reminds me of another Olympian from a few years ago named Wilma Rudolph, and I'd be surprised if Michelle has even heard of Wilma Rudolph, but has the same kind of stride, runs the turn on the 220 the same way, just nice and fluidly. She had the outside lane, which was really a distinct disadvantage, and yet used the adrenaline and the uncertainty of being out there to make her come off the turn in first place. She just had too much room on Jenny. I think she really potentially could be our best hope in the Olympics, because our women sprinters seem to mature earlier than the men, and they seem to do well at the age of 18, 19, and 20. Boy, I'm really excited about her.
All right, the official time for Michelle Glover was 23.99. That is a new junior Olympic record. The official time for Jenny Gorham was 24.24. That tied the national junior Olympic record. That's the story here at Track and Field. So right now, let's go back to the diving competition.
Mike Adamley and Mickey King Hogue back here at the natatorium at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. We are ready for the second round of dives here in the finals of the women's 3-meter springboard. Serwan, Loasso, and Bell, your leaders, 1, 2, and 3, as we look at Tara Bell as she takes the tower.
Well, it might feel like a tower. It really is only a 3-meter springboard. And, of course, that's 10 feet off the water, and that's far enough for these women at this point in the contest. Tara Bell doing a very, very worrisome dive in terms of hitability.
We had a good look at her coach right there, Mickey, Tom Spate, stirring up the water a little bit to make the impact a little bit less cumbersome.
First 2.5 somersault tuck, not quite what she wanted. She did a terrific back 2.5 somersault earlier in the prelims to get her into these finals, and this was a little bit less than she would hope to have. Looking at it here from the overhead camera, you see her off the side of the board a little bit, but watch her kick, relaxes her feet, and then falls short and gets scores accordingly.
This is Lisa Simmons, currently in 6th place after 8 dives.
2.3 degree of difficulty on this one, the forward 2.5 somersault pike position. These are optional dives. They will be a little harder. She needs this one. Interesting dive. I thought it was slow on top. She worked it real well, scooped on the bottom, arched a little bit in order to get it down. That's called saving a dive in the air, and she's getting 6.5s on it. She's, I think, only half happy with it.
As we watch the replay of Lisa Simmons, we'll talk about the point scoring again. In diving, relatively simple. There are 7 judges here. The top 2 and the bottom 2 scores are dropped. The remaining 3 are multiplied by the degree of difficulty. Gives you a raw score. Nancy Hawk is now in 4th place after coming into the competition in 3rd. 16 years old from Toledo, Ohio.
Now we get a chance to look at the higher degree of difficulty. Back 2.5 somersault tuck, 2.8 degree of difficulty. The men were doing it yesterday. The women are doing it now. Let's see if she can do it. Oh my! Now that is close to a failed dive. The meet referee should really probably call that a failed dive. If not, she will get very, very low scores, 1/2 at the most. They are scoring the dive. They have decided to score the dive, but in my estimation, it was a failed dive. Her feet hit before her head, and that's the judgment. She's getting halves and 1.5s. Looking at it again from the overhead camera, boy, we will really see her splat. I thought she had a terrific top. I think she thought so, too. She kicked out very, very strong, but she just kicked out early.
You know, Mickey, they got a bubble machine here that tries to, you know, breaks the impact of the water, but I don't think it helped there.
No, no. The bubbler here is primarily to make the surface of the water a little ruffled, Mike. It really, this is not the bubbler that protects the diver.
Another look at Jane Serwan, Janie's mother. Janie, our leader right now after 8 dives. She's 15 years old and has been a real story so far.
Janie's 2nd dive in this optional portion of the contest. Back 1.5 somersault layout position, degree of difficulty 2.2.
I think it helps or hurts to have your mom this close.
Well, it depends on the relationship with the family, but mostly I would think it would help. Some of the women are choosing to do the very difficult back 2.5 somersault. Janie is playing it safe with the back 1.5. Let's see if it pays off. A lot of concentration. Her mother is very worried. Played it safe. She played it very safe. I thought for a minute she was going to land right on her back, but she was smart. She pulled it through. Not as aggressive as I would like to see, but it was safe. She got 5.5 6s, didn't miss it. Her mom is very pensive watching that contest. There she is.
Looking at this replay, we might say that there's 3 component parts to a dive. The approach, the top, and the finish, Mickey, that the judges look for. Kelly Jones, 16 years old from Albuquerque, New Mexico, started the competition in 6th place. She has dropped a notch. She is now in 7th.
Reverse 1.5 somersault tuck, 2.2 degree of difficulty. Important dive. She needs to hit it. The crowd loves it too. Very, very nice dive. It's the first one that's been hit so far in the meet. And there's the leader, and there's a very nice gesture. She's happy too that one of her competitors hit it that well.
Well, that's one of the neat things I've seen here is the extreme closeness between all the girls.
Right. And you know, talking about family, there's her father who coaches her, Eric Jones, and of course he coaches at the University of New Mexico. Watching the slow-mo, watch her land on the end of the board. She lifts her head a little bit early. She's a little bit loose in the tuck, but kicks here and does a good job pulling through. And her mom is in the corner there, very, very happy, as is her dad, who is her coach.
Well, with one final dive to go, Janie Serwan is still your leader. Michelle Hoshow is still in second, but Kelly Jones now has moved up into third place with that great last dive. We'll have more diving later as the National AAU Junior Olympics continue.
Our gymnastics competition for girls 12, 13, and 14 began about 7 hours ago. It has just now ended. For a report, here is Nancy Thies.
We're back inside the sports complex. I'm Nancy Thies, and we're here for the last event of the gymnastics. With me is Leah Hersant, who is now the current all-around leader. And coming up next on her last event, Gina Stallone. Gina needs a 9.5 to tie and a 9.55 to win. As we learned yesterday, Gina is a distant relative of Sylvester Stallone. I think she has some interesting music for us to listen to. Gina comes from Pennsylvania and has been working very hard, and her teammates say that she's just a real go-getter and just doesn't like to lose. Now, as we're watching this, remember that she needs a 9.55 to win this meet. And a 9.5 will tie her for the all-around with Leah Hersant. So far, she's working very confidently. Handspring, front somersault to another back handspring. Of course, her music, the theme from Rocky. Here comes her last tumbling run. Alternating backflips. Gina Stallone. Now remember, she needs a 9.55 to take over the all-around. Gina, nice job. How did you feel about your routine?
Wasn't a 9.5.
Well, we'll see. We're waiting for the score now. Did you do anything special to train for this competition?
No, we just worked out a little longer and more with our coach. Like,
I know you're out of breath.
The boys will be rotating.
We'll wait for the score. Leah, how about you? Did you try anything, work on anything special for this competition?
I had to get a new bar routine because my bar routine just wasn't up to a national level. So it was really hard getting a new bar routine.
Okay, well, sometimes it's hard to work on those things, isn't it? Yeah. All right, we're watching for the score. It's a 9.2, which means, Leah, you've won the all-around. Come on in here. And Gina, you were second. Congratulations. An exciting weekend for gymnastics. Leah Hersant wins the gold medal with a score of 73.25. Rocky's cousin, Gina Stallone, wins the silver with 72.95. And Marie Phillips takes home the bronze with 72.25. Now let's go to Mike Adamley and Mickey King-Hogue.
Mike Adamley with Mickey King-Hogue back at the natatorium at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln, Nebraska. And there is a good look at our leader in the women's 3-meter springboard, with her dad giving her a little encouragement as she heads for her last dive. Our standings right now with this last final dive: Serwan, Hoshow, and Jones 1, 2, 3. This girl, Tara Bell, was in second place when the competition started, but now she's dropped to 5th.
But we add a little bit of incentive here for her because she has a 2.6 degree of difficulty, the inward 2.5 somersault tuck. Now, if she does it well with that high degree of difficulty, the leaders are doing less difficult dives. It's going to be a little bit tense here to see what happens. Tara can dive under pressure. I've seen a nice top. No, she doesn't pull it off. Very slow, very low. She twists on the top as she leaves the board and comes out less than adequate.
Well, even though she was in 5th place, she was only 17.76 points behind.
Now watch her turn here. You'll see she's not square to the board. See that turn? That's very definitely a mistake and something the judges spot. You can see her. She's what we call going through the board. She's way off the side, nowhere near the board, but off the side, and really a terrible finish.
Michelle Luasso is currently in 2nd place. She started the competition in 4th, and right now she is 8.76 behind Janie Serwan. Good look at her coach.
Dennis Hartman out of Denver, Colorado, coaching Michelle, coached her throughout her age group career, watching Michelle do the inward 1 1/2 somersault pike, 2.2. She can do this dive well. She put it last on purpose. Let's see if it pays off for her. She falls back, she crimps her knees, and low finishing, not good at all. Now, I would have a hard time judging that dive much higher than a 5. And again, Dennis, yeah, that's what the scores are saying, and Dennis, I think, realizes that. Too bad.
Mickey, the finish looked great, but...
Well, actually not. She sits back here, right here. She's so far back. She hasn't got a prayer. It's going to be a low dive, and since she is so tall, she needs the room. She crimped her knees here. She just barely got there. She had no drop, and Dennis saw it right off. Oh, discouragement.
Talking about a frustrated
personified.
coach. Wow. 18-year-old Lisa Simmons. This will probably be her last Junior Olympic competition, undoubtedly, at 18. Right now, she is in 4th place after starting the day in 5th.
Right. Now, she's finishing with the inward 1 1/2 somersault also, just as Michelle did. It's a good steady dive for most of the women. A little bit of turn on the top, much higher finish, but she turned to the side, and I don't like that. You do not need to turn to do this dive well. She reached under and finished a little bit low.
Mickey, as we watch the replay of Lisa, the girls seem to know all the mechanics of the dives, but what's missing?
There is a smoothness and a style that hasn't been developed in some of the young women at this point. Lisa does have a nice style. She needs a little more smoothness, and I'm sure it'll come. Now, Janie is doing her reverse 1 1/2 somersault tuck for her last dive. The degree of difficulty on this is 2.2, a low degree of difficulty. However, the dive is easy, and at this point, she can't let down.
Well, so far, she's been a model of consistency.
I would worry a little, too, if I was Mom. I thought she had it. She pulled on the bottom. Now, that was a split-second mistake. I mean, up until she was 2 inches from the water, she had 8s on that dive. Incredible. Too bad. I don't know how badly it's going to hurt her, but certainly she can do that dive better.
Well, Mickey, it's not too bad. Her running total right now, 363.8.
Let's take a look at it. Now, she's a little bit turned. It shows more on the finish. Look how high she is. Very nice top. Right here, she's still good. She's still good. Then right there at the last, pulls over, and she's getting 4 1/2s and 5s instead of 8s.
Janie Serwan is still in 1st place, but in 3rd place, Kelly Jones is still to dive, and she will be the last diver here in the women's 3-meter finals. Kelly from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Her father's here. He is her coach, 2-time state high school champion in New Mexico.
Back 1 1/2 somersault pike, 2.2. Hit a good one. Not too bad. Not too bad. I don't think it's going to be good enough, though. A little heavy on her shoulders. If she'd have gotten her head back, she could have cleaned the water and done a little better on the dive. It's a hard dive to end up with. I think I'd try and end up with a different dive than a back 1 1/2, but of course that's the diver's choice. Let's look at it and see if we can see how she catches the water on her shoulders. She looks fine here. She could tighten her knees up a little bit, close the pike up a little bit. And we'll notice here she catches that big splash on the finish.
Good dive by Kelly Jones. She's been like mercury in a thermometer on a hot day, steadily climbing. She started the day in 6th place. Prior to that dive, she was in 3rd. She may move up somewhat. And there's your winner, Janie Serwan, 15 years old, hugging her dad. He's a proud guy right now. I think she's going to make her way over to see her mom. So, Janie Serwan is your winner in the women's 3-meter springboard, 15 years old from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And Kelly Jones, by virtue of her exceptional last dive, is 2nd. Lisa Simmons finishes 3rd. There's Janie and her mom. As we watch the last dive of Janie, we see what a perfectionist she indeed is, and Mickey is with our winner.
Janie Serwan, our very, very happy winner of the women's 3-meter contest. Janie, you chose to do a lot of the easier dives in the contest. Some of your competitors were doing the higher degree of difficulty dives. What was your strategy in using the easier dives, and do you plan to use the harder dives?
I'm working on harder dives right at this moment. I should have them by next year. The reason I use the lower degree of difficulty is because I count on the other people to blow their dives, and if I can do that and just stay consistent, I feel a lot better.
Well, one of the things we notice as we watch the competition is that you get a lot of support from the family, and tell me about that kind of thing from your point of view.
Well, my whole family has always been really supportive of me, and I think if they weren't, then I wouldn't have done this today or anything.
Well, that concludes the diving story at the University of Nebraska Natatorium. And Mickey King-Hogue, I would like to say thank you for taking time out from your Air Force duties to be with me in NBC Sports.
It was a great weekend, Mike. I loved it.
Heaviest weight class here at the National AAU Junior Olympics. Larry Hoshow, 16 years old from Hardy, Nebraska. He's the hometown favorite. He'll be in the red corner. His opponent, 15-year-old Earl Boger, who hails from Summerville, South Carolina. With me, of course, Mal Kennedy, a tournament director at many of these National Junior Olympics meets, and he knows a lot about boxing and about the boxers. First round action coming up.
And this should be a humdinger. These two boys battled at Tucson 2 months ago. Hoshow won over Boger on a very close decision, and it was a very hard punching bout, Mike.
Hoshaw's in the red top, Boger in the blue top, and every time Hoshow lands a punch, you're going to hear a roar from this partisan crowd because Hardy is only 120 miles away from Lincoln, Nebraska, where we are right now. You know, Mal, coming into this bout, both boys had to deal with a bit of adversity.
Well, for sure, Earl Boger, he was involved in a boating accident about 60 miles off the South Carolina coast. He and his father treaded water for about 18 hours and battled the sharks, lost a member of their party. It was a very traumatic experience for him.
And Hoshow is coming back from a bout with mononucleosis that laid him up for about a month, and he may be a little bit fatigued tonight. 3 rounds, each round 2 minutes each. We're in round 1. Hoshow in the red top, Boger in the blue top. Hoshow is a natural right-hander, but he learned to box southpaw.
And that's a distinct advantage for him. He's got a strong right hand because he's right-handed, and he's learned to box as a left-hander, so therefore he kind of comes at you from both sides.
Good combinations thrown by Hoshow right there. How about the future of these two kids? Mal, we were talking about some of the problems they might encounter later.